Yo, 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 what's up, everybody? Thank you for tuning in to yet again another fantastic indie creator interview. It is your Capes Crusader, Cody, and we are keeping it geekly with our brand new friend, Josh of Bad Natures. We're here to break down issues 1 and 2 and their journey creating comics just as a whole. Josh, welcome to the stream. How are you doing tonight?
Thanks for having me, Cody. I'm doing all right. How about you?
I'm not doing too bad at all. You know, it's a nice night over here in Ohio. We had some heavy rain. I thought it was going to be a nightmare for streaming, but it let down a little bit before we went live, so I think we should be good, you know. Get that nice rain in since it's been hot and sunny the last couple of days. Give us a little bit of a time to cool off.
I hear that. I have the blinds here to block out the sun right now.
There we go with the mute. I told you it was going to be a little bit of trouble. So, Josh, we were talking a little bit before stream about just your history of getting into comics and creating them. Can you give us a little bit of a breakdown of who you are and how you got into creating comics?
Yeah, so I officially started my comics career about 3 years ago. That's when I had my first piece in an anthology. And then from there, I started doing Bad Natures. So I'm new to the game. But before then, I did go to art school. I did take some comics classes. I did do some doodling, some little stuff for fun on the side. But it was like 2018, 2019. I would say that's where it really began for me.
So when you were going to art school, was the intention always to getting the comics, or how did you end up getting onto that anthology?
So no, I did not always know that I was going to go into comics. In college, actually, I was not doing well in it, and I almost considered switching out, but I decided to stick with it, just to see it through, and it burnt me out. It's doing art assignments academically versus doing it just for fun. There is a difference, and I just took a break from it, and then I moved up to New York several years later after graduating and working a little bit, and I just went to a meetup group about working in the comics industry. It was just a panel discussion, and they were going over like what it's like being in the industry and all that. And I thought that was cool, so I was like, oh yeah, let me go to this meetup. And the person who was running it, Ramon, he said, it's like, hey, after this panel, we're going to put together an anthology, or we're going to start the process of putting together an anthology. So if you're interested, stick around. And I was there at the time. I was like, well, this is a cool opportunity. I might as well jump on this, and I did. And the rest is history.
That is so awesome. I always love hearing just how things like that happen, especially since you weren't really considering getting into it to begin with. How was that transition from doing like just, I guess, what people would consider normal type of art, and doing something like that is I cannot word today. Something that is
It's all good.
Something that is sequential. There we go. There's the word I'm looking for. Because that's a big step up from just traditional art, right?
It is. It requires discipline, a different mindset. I mean, you're talking about storytelling in a different way. Each panel is a moment in time. You have to like master that whole song and dance. And there's books and stuff that you can read that I read about it. I think I would say my transition was just very academic, reading articles, watching videos, just watching what everyone else did. Is like, all right, that worked, so I'm going to do it too. And it did. It took a lot of work. I think the biggest thing was the discipline and staying on it, because, if you're just doing one piece of art, mentally it's just like, oh, it's that one piece of art. And then, I finish it and it's done. But when you're doing comics, it's like, oh, I have N number of pages left, and I have N number of panels left. And that can be daunting. You're sitting there on the blank, looking at a blank page, and you have like, oh, I have 23 more pages to write, or or 23 more pages to draw, stuff like that. So it's a lot of mental fortitude and stuff like that. But I like the process. It's good.
No, absolutely. And so real quick, we have some people over on YouTube stopping in. We have Elena stopping in to say hi. And then AJ, I'm excited for issue number 2. So it looks like someone who is a fan of issue number 1's in chat too. That's awesome.
Hey, I appreciate it. Yeah, issue 2 was a lot of fun to make, and it's better. And just hope to keep the momentum going and get the story told successfully.
So with Bad Nature's issue number 1, what is it about? Can you give us a little bit of a synopsis of it? You know, what happens, what like type of tone it's setting?
Sure. So yeah, Bad Natures is an action fantasy drama. That's what I've been telling everyone. So it is part fight comic, part drama, and it's all set in a fantasy world that's being created. So in this story, this is the creation myth happening in real time. You have these gods that are at odds with each other and what they want for the world and how they're going to create this world, and that's basically the premise. So in this world, heaven exists, or no, heaven does not exist, but hell exists, and heaven is in the middle of being constructed, and so that means that every soul goes to hell, and one of the gods very much likes that. You know, souls are used as resources. You know, that kind of the trope of, you know, you gather all the souls and you can do whatever you have control over the world, pretty much. And basically, you have all these gods fighting it out over, you know, what they want their world to be.
So I didn't get a chance to read issue 1, but I did get a chance to read issue 2, and I'm not going to spoil anything, but we have some mentionings of things that happened in issue 1 and some characters. And so do you want to give us a little bit of a breakdown of like maybe some of the protagonists, some of the antagonists, and like kind of the conflict we can see between the two?
Sure, yeah. So we have, so first off, we have Ava. She is the queen god, basically the top god. She lives on top of this giant mountain, and that's where she rules from. She has a husband, Jasper, and so Ava's like an elf. She's a tall red elf. You have Jasper. He is a forest god who is responsible for basically just helping out Ava. You know, the trusty, you know, husband. He has earth powers. You know, dealing with plants and rocks and any kind of like nature type power. That's his wheelhouse. And then you have Ethel is a dragon. As of issue 1, she is a god as well. At odds with Ethel because they just got through a war, and Ethel sided with Casimir. He's basically the devil. He runs the underworld, and they just had a falling out. So basically, issue 1 starts where the war is over. This is after the war, and these characters are left to pick up the pieces. There is also another character that's Claude. That is the firstborn of Ethel, who is a giant snake.
Yeah, and I love just how insane some of these character designs are too. I mean, so what was some of your inspirations? Because we're seeing like a little bit of everything here, you know, heaven, the construction, or excuse me, hell, the construction of heaven, snakes, dragons, insects, like everything, you know. This seems like a really intricate like concept.
Yeah, so there are no humans in the traditional sense in this story, so everybody is something else. I guess the closest to a humanoid in the human in the traditional sense would be, you know, the elf, which basically, you know, is a human with ears and different skin color and all that. But yeah, it's you know, anything and everything. It's a lot of like, for example, Jasper. He's on the front cover. He's this, like, you know, earth golem and stuff like that. And I'm a big fighting games fan. One of my favorite games is Killer Instinct. One of the characters on there serves as inspiration. If you look at the character roster, you know exactly which was. I wear that inspiration on the sleeve. And then, you know, Groot from the Marvel MCU universe, like the Tree Man who can, you know, use vines and all that kind of stuff. So those kind of characters. And actually, shout out to Gaston Garcia, who really came through for designing that character. I actually so Jasper was going to be a completely different character, and I was ready to write this. It was going to be completely different, and I just happened to look at Sandman, Neil Gaiman's Sandman. He has a character in there that looked exactly like my character, And of course, it was his character. I just haven't read it yet, so I was like, oh, I have to go change this whole character.
Yeah.
And I was rambling. I knew what I wanted to do, and I was just kind of like, oh man, I was feeling defeated and all that because I didn't know how much was going to set back the story. But I found him. We worked it out, and it changed the story. So basically, that old concept is gone, and so the character actually grew and benefited from that, honestly. So with these new characters, I was able to do a lot more.
Are you talking about for Killer Instinct? Are you talking about the SNES?
Well, no. There's a 2013 version that came out on Xbox. All right.
Because I've only really played the Super Nintendo one, so I'm like thinking like, is it the sewer guy? The unlockable sewer guy. I can't remember his name, but he's all green. He has like the sewer lid on top, and then has a big pipe.
No, I think that might be. I don't know that character, but
I'm old. I'm 32, so like my Killer Instinct's a little bit older too.
Yeah, so all those games are great. There was like 3 or 4 Killer Instinct games, and I played the Super Nintendo. Well, whichever one was in the arcade cabinet, I tried one of those. I used to play competitively, and so I went up into Evo several times. Didn't do that well, but
that's impressive. Stuff like that.
Yeah, it was a different lifetime. Now I'm all about the comics, but. Suffice to say, yeah. So so the rest, that was a special case, getting some help with that character design there. The rest was just me. I need these characters that fits this XYZ, and I just made it work. Designing characters is fun for me. I like doing it. You mentioned the insect character, so in issue 2, we start to see births of new societies, new groups of people, and there's various animal groups based on kind of like the animal kingdoms and stuff like that. So that's a lot of opportunity to just go wild and create all sorts of stuff.
And I just there's so much, like, so you're not only the writer but the penciler too. So how was like creating panels, like doing paneling in full page like layouts like that for you, like going from just starting with an anthology to an actual like issues? Like how big of a jump was that for you?
It was a big jump. With an anthology, you're looking at, like, for me it was 6 pages. So to wrap up a story for 6 pages, there's only so much you can really do in 6 pages. And when you take on your whole project, in number of issues, I never set a cap. In my mind, the first arc is 6 issues, but who knows what can go after. And so then you really need to think about your pacing and how you tell your story, because you're not limited to 6 pages. You have as many pages as you want, or as many pages as you can do. And so there's that. It's really like a thinking exercise, like a math problem, to figure out like how the art's going to work with the writing. I kind of think of like functions and stuff like that. If this works, and that means this has to be that, and keeping things in mind, like, oh, the page turns, what's the reveal going to be? Like, do we have cliffhangers, and are they on the last panels, and all those kind of things that you really have to start thinking about, because I want people to want to keep reading, and to do that, there are ways, there are methods to structure your comic book, just in general when you're paneling. So that's a whole discipline in of itself. Like, you have storytelling, which is like, first I woke up, and then this happened, and then that happened, and then there's the whole like, oh, well, how did he wake up, and do that and make sure the transition works so that on the next page, all these kind of things, which, I don't think that's a skill that, well, I don't have it innately. I had to learn that. That just comes from reading comics, reading books, and, seeing what other people before me did, and trying to put something together.
No, absolutely. And real quick, we have J. Michael Miller over on YouTube saying just backed. Hey, thank you so much for that, Jay. We appreciate that. Thank you for stopping in. We have Ross Z over on Twitch stopping in to say hi, and then D Rhino 419 saying hey over on YouTube as well. Welcome everybody. Anyone that has questions for Josh, feel free to ask away. So Josh, what type of, like, I guess, comics or media were you consuming that might have led to some of the inspirations that we see within Bad Nature's issue 1 and 2? Like, what, I guess, what got you going and pushed you in this direction of like sci-fi and fighting?
Yeah, so sci-fi, fantasy, stuff like that. I would say that the desire to do that came less from comic books and more from video games, specifically like fighting games. Like I mentioned, the Souls series. I'm really into that.
Ooh, we
So as
could
far
spend
as
a whole
genre, it was
podcast on
all.
Souls.
Oh, yeah, well, that's
Oh,
fantastic. So you already know the greatness that is those games. Um, but as far as comics for me, I did not have a I don't want to say traditional, but the big two DC Marvel like superheroes was never my bag. So I was always into the more kind of fantasy, the more kind of science fiction type of comic books. Um, Mike Mignola had this one shot years ago called "The Amazing Screw-On Head," and it is so like the premise is insane. It's crazy. It's very imaginative, creative. So basically, you have this robotic head. It's a steampunk universe that is like the aide to Abraham Lincoln, and they're fighting zombies, and he can put his head on a different suits and fighting. It's completely
I
insane.
love it though.
I
That sounds
love
so cool.
it's fantastic, and I don't have it anymore, but I did have it at one point, and I think that was one of those. It's like, oh wow, comics can really do some wild things. This is really cool. I really like how he's you know, from my mindset, it's like, oh yeah, comics is a very specific thing, and it's like this is not that. And of course, now I've broadened my horizon. I've learned more about comics and stuff like that. And comics can be anything now. And actually, some of my comics that I was reading before I got into it a lot were web comics, were things that were not even story driven, just like punchlines, like PBF comics, Cyanide and Happiness, stuff like that. Those there used to be this website Drunk Duck where people came and uploaded their own comics. It's kind of like a tapas or a webtoons
Yeah,
of
yeah, I
like
gotcha.
12 years ago or something like that. But so you had those kind of comics, and I think as far as like traditional printed comics, I know I liked 100 Bullets. I read a lot of that. It's not fantasy sci-fi. It's like a crime story, but yeah, that's the kind of stuff I was reading before I really decided to do this on my own.
So with issue two, for those who've read issue one, what type of feeling do you want readers leaving with when they finish it? How do you want your readers to feel after they finish issue number two? And then let me ask another question on top of that. How important is it to read issue one when picking up issue two? Do you think it makes a big difference, or is it something where readers can like kind of just jump in?
So I do think so. Okay, so if you read issue one, issue two, I think I would hope that. So let me back up. So when I did issue one, it's a lot of setup, and so I think a lot. I understand. I've done some feedbacks like, well, I don't know what's gonna happen next. I don't know, like if the jury is out on where this is gonna go. With issue two, that path is more clear, and I think readers will be rewarded to see where I'm taking this, to see all the stuff that's happening, how these characters actually are defining themselves, or how they're revealing themselves. This is, like I said, it's a character drama, so all these characters, they have their own motivations, their own wants and desires. I made sure of that, and all of those are clashing continuously, and it just builds on each other in each issue. So you're going to see some of that. There were some unanswered questions. Some of those get answered in issue two, but then some more questions get answered or asked, and or some more questions get asked in issue two. So there's going to be more questions, more answers. But hopefully, with issue two, readers will know, like, yes, this is going somewhere. This is coherent. I want to like my goals are to make a fun reading experience and coherent storytelling. So as long as I can do that, then I think that will just it shows through, and hopefully that's what readers are looking for as well. And I would say it's kind of hard because I'm so close to the project. I mean, I think my default would be like, oh, of course you should read issue one because I made it and you should look at it. But um, maybe you could just read issue 2 and you can kind of pick up because it's already happening. Like you're already in the middle. This is already, you're kind of like, intruding on like, oh, something's going on with this world, and these people are kind of like doing some stuff. And so I guess at a certain point, well, in some ways it doesn't matter at what minute you come in on that.
No, I got you. And I asked that question because I wanted to give a perfect segue to anyone that is interested. You could actually read the first issue, or is it first chapter? First chapter of the issue or the first issue?
It's the first issue.
So the first issue on Global Comics. So you can read that for free in its entirety. We have Aaron and Dom Dynamite over on YouTube. Stop in and say hi as well. Welcome, guys. How's everybody doing? So before we dive into the Kickstarter and take a look at it, can you give us a breakdown of what your creative process looks like? Like when you're writing issue 1, issue 2, coming up with the panels, how does that look like for you? Do you come up with the design first and then the script, or vice versa?
Well, I come up with the script first. So for each issues, I do it per issue. It's broken down. So I have an overall outline. I have it written down like, here's what's going to happen in issue 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Just so, story-wise, I have some constraints. I know exactly what I want to do. And then I do it issue by issue. So, issue 1, it's write the script. Then it's do the pencils. And then I bring on the team. I work with a color artist, an inker, a letterer to help put the whole project together, and they come in. So I like to give myself buffer. So I'll do something like I'll pencil the first 5 pages, and then I'll hand that off to my inker, Jearmon Tabayan. He's a great inker. He does great work. And then he might do, once he does like 5 or 10 or something like that, then I pass it off to Ellis Carlos. He's the color artist, also does fantastic work. And then the letterer at the end, Rick Joseph, also amazing. Like basically my team really made this happen. And I would not have these books out without them. So definitely thank you to them. They did great work. But yeah, it's basically like a conveyor belt type of thing. So I'll do a set amount of work, pass it off, then that gets passed off to the next person. So no one's overwhelmed at one time, and then I can breathe and do other things at the same time as well.
Yeah, and that having that ability to breathe a little bit, it's like really important so you're not overwhelmed and just like carrying too much. We have the Sin Killer over on YouTube saying greetings, sinners from Portugal. Hey, welcome. I'm over here in Ohio, so that's over there, way over the pond. Welcome. So speaking of sinners, let's take a look at Bad Nature's issue number 2, the Kickstarter. As we know, hell is officially established, but heaven is still under construction. We had a backing while this show has been live. Thank you again, J. Michael Miller. That was awesome. Appreciate it as always. We have Bad Nature's issue 1 and 2, an action fantasy character drama. The plot thickens in this 24-page fantasy comic book featuring gods and dragons where hell exists, but heaven is yet to be built. So we are looking at a pledge goal of $800, and you're currently sitting at $456. 15 backers with 18 days to go. So we are right over that halfway mark. Congratulations, man.
Thank you. Yeah, always pressing that launch button. It's always that all these feelings come up like, oh, what, but I'm very thankful that it's getting some traction. Kickstarter it's a great way to get your work out there, and I would like to. Eventually, I think I'd like to get to a point to start going to conventions and stuff like that. So I have a lot of stuff in store as long as we get this out the window or out the door first.
Absolutely. We have the Sin Killer saying great pitch. For anyone that's interested, right there is the link to the Kickstarter. Be sure to check it out with us. And if you like what you see, be sure to back. And even if you don't, you can share it on Facebook or Twitter. Anytime you share, that's absolutely free, and it helps Josh, inch closer and closer to getting this funded. So what are we looking at right here? Are these some of the covers that we could expect for this comic?
Yep, these are the 2 covers. This on the left you have the main cover, and on the right you have the variant cover. I did the first cover, and then Jearmon, my inker, the inker, did the one on the right.
And what are we seeing on the right too? This is the main dragon of the hour.
Yep. So on the right, that is Ethel, and that is Ethel versus Ava. So and that's definitely a fight that you're going to see if you pledge to this issue. So you don't want to miss out on that.
All right, let's go ahead. We'll scroll down and start checking some of this out. So right here is the story and a nice look at the cover for issue number 2. Bad Natures is back. Issue 2 of Bad Natures Comics ready to go with more story to tell, more characters to explore, and more world to build. There is some really good world building in this, I will say, because I had a chance to read issue 2 before this. Thank you again, Josh, for the PDF. I always appreciate that.
No problem.
For those who missed the first issue, Bad Natures is a high fantasy action character drama where gods fight over souls in a world where hell exists but heaven is still under construction. For fans of dragons, combat, and fantasy world, this is not one to be missed. So for anyone that is interested, you can feel free to check out a little bit more of what is listed there. What's inside? So in Bad Natures issue 1, Ethel the dragon is stripped of her godhood after colluding with Kashmir, god of the underworld, in a failed attempt to overthrow the top god and queen of planet Earth. And then issue 2 continues right after those events. So 24 pages of story in full color. The characters' motives are at odds with each other's in the media res of this creation myth. So here is some of the preview pages. And this is gorgeous. So what are we seeing right here? It looks like there's all-out war happening.
Yeah, that's exactly what happens. So, Ava wants Ethel gone, and this is one of the fight scenes you're going to be greeted with as in the first part of the story, and I really liked how this page comes out. I think everyone on the team definitely shines here. I think the colors are great, the inks are tight, and the lettering is great. When I saw the boom and the never and those lettering choices that Rick made, I would have never thought about that.
Yeah,
I sent him the script. I was like, put a boom here. I was expecting a standard, but that really blew my mind there.
No, I really like the lettering too. I think anytime you could have it thrown in like that, it adds a whole sense of flair to it. A whole another level of depth. And I really liked it. So another interesting page too, in Hell. So we get a nice little look of what's going on in Hell. So we see another interesting panel right here too, father and son. What an interesting combination here. Yep,
and that's definitely going to be explored as we go on that relationship. There's a lot of underlying themes in Bad Natures. It's not just like, we're gonna fight and then we're gonna fight some more, and that there's a lot of some more human kind. Like ultimately, Bad Natures, it's like it means a couple of things, but human natures is one. Like basically, a lot of the story is basically just it's about the human condition. It just happens to not have any humans in it. So you have things like father-son relationships, betrayal, jealousy, all these kind of universal themes are explored in this. So it's not like some niche thing for people, for only like a certain amount of people. I think this is a story that I think will have something for a lot of people. Just depends on how they interpret it, I guess.
No, absolutely. We have AJ saying cool covers, and then the Sin Killer saying lettering is my nightmare. And here's another interesting page too. So the underground, we were talking about the insects in this, and I thought just like the design and some of the concept of this was just really awesome. Like the way you brought these insects to life, and the they're holding weapons and knives. I loved it. This is really cool.
Yeah, this was another fun page to make. And yeah, getting to do stuff like this. I mean, so it's nice being the writer and the artist, I will say, because I can do stuff like this. I don't know if that relationship or if the result will be different working with other people. I'm sure it can be, but all I want to say is just being able to do this kind of stuff is fun. I like spending my time doing this. Like, if I had to spend the whole time indoors, working on this page, like that's a great day.
Yeah. And you're able to do what you have envisioned in your head, and I think that gives a lot of writer artist combos just better control of the project overall. In some cases, what you're envisioning in your head, you're able to just put to paper right away. Do you do most of this the traditional way, or is everything done digitally?
So issue 1, I did it all on pencil, and then I switched to digital for issue 2. To save time, to save everything. It's just so much easier having that undo button working digitally. It took a transitional period, a lot of trial and error, but I think I'm pretty comfortable with the workflow I have now.
No, that is awesome. So just some more of the previews too. We see Claude going through something. Something's happening. I love this page as well. When I got to this, I thought it was really interesting, and then it had like such an awesome payoff too, because I wasn't expecting that twist.
Yeah, and that's another thing. Just shouting out Ellis. He did great color work. I hand off these pages, and I don't like I have some like baseline instructions on how it should be done, but I want to give the other artists freedom to do what they think is best. So like there's the effect there on the eye to really capture the emotion or the anguish in that first there. Like that was a treatment he did, and he's really good with the color. So again, yeah, everyone helps contribute to making the page work like they do.
And then real quick, do you have the rewards listed underneath the creative team, or is everything off to the side?
Yeah, the rewards are the last section.
Okay, so we'll go through the team and then we'll go through the rewards. I just asked because sometimes people don't have the rewards like in the scroll part; they just have them all on the side. And I like to kill two birds, one stone. So here is the creative team. We are speaking with Josh himself. So if you want to give us maybe a little bit of a breakdown.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm Josh. I live in New York in the borough of Queens. Originally from Virginia, although I moved up here now. No plans to go back. But I like to tell stories. I like to draw. I like to write, and this is what happens when I'm left to do that.
And then we have your inker right here.
Yep, Jearmon. I think he's down in Texas. Great work, like I said. I actually, it's interesting. I don't know the artist on a very personal level. We speak mostly just on email.
Okay.
And I keep it very. I just try to keep it very professional, courteous, stuff like that. I really put on my project manager hat, trying to coordinate this project. But I'm sure everyone are fantastic people, but I have not actually met them.
Hey, not a problem. We also have Ellis Carlos, the colors, and then Rick Joseph, the letterer as well.
Yep. And so I know Ellis is in Brazil and Rick is in Canada. So we got international presence here.
Yeah, hey, that's what I'm talking about, if you know what I'm saying. My Canadian accent is horrible. I'm sorry, guys. I saw it. I had to grab for it. So here are a look at some of the rewards. For $5, you can get a digital version of Bad Nature's issue number 2. For $10, you're going to get issues 1 and 2 together. And then starting at $10, you can get the physical of issue number 2 along with the digital. $15 is going to get you a physical version of Bad Nature's issue number 1 along with the physical of issue 2. So that is a fantastic price for 2 books for one. For $15. That's awesome.
And yeah, that's also an early bird special. So that's going to expire soon. That 15.
Okay, hey, so you guys, once again, this is in the chat. Early bird special. This is going to be running out soon. How long do they got on it?
Till tomorrow.
Okay, hey, you got 1 day left, so hop on it. At $30, you're going to get a physical version of Bad Nature's issue 2, digital versions of issue 1 and 2, and then the variant cover of issue 2. So is this the only way to get the variant?
Yep, it's the only way to get to the variant, unless you find me in person or whenever I table, hopefully in the future at some conventions. But yes, as of now, this is the only way to get the variant cover.
All right. And then right here is a larger look at it.
I was just going to say it's the last deal. It's the same thing with the last. I did a last Kickstarter for just issue 1, and there was also a variant, which is also only available on Kickstarter or tabling too. So there's already some collectibles out there.
I got you. And then it looks like pledging at $100. So for creators that need a second opinion on a script, a constructive critique or brainstorming session, get up to 24 pages of comic story reviewed, critique or edited, whatever you need. Get a second pair of eyes, either through email or 1 live video conference, in addition to everything included in the previous tier. So you get a help on your script and everything else, like the variant and everything.
Yeah, so my time will be your time. I will help with whatever you need. This is not I don't need credit or anything like that. It's just I want to share the comics making process or the creative process, help out in any way I can. I've done 2 books now, so I'm able to get 2 books now. I think I'm able to share some information.
No,
So
absolutely, absolutely. I think anyone with even just one book, that's experience you can learn from. So the fact you have two, you're doing something right. So with that being said, does this cover the Kickstarter in its entirety?
yep, that's pretty much in its entirety. The whole book is done. It just needs to be printed and distributed. So I know there's been rumblings about paper shortages and supply chains and all that stuff. I don't think that's going to be a problem given, this is a small operation. But, if there's something crazy like that happens, I'll be sure to let everyone know. But the book's already done and it's just ready to be distributed.
No, absolutely. So let me go ahead. We'll close out of this and get back to our other window. So Josh, for everyone that's watching this and might be on the fence about backing, what would you say to them directly to kind of help get them over that bump, for any reason that's on the fence?
For anyone that's on the fence, I don't know, just take the plunge. I mean, we're in issue 2. We're at the beginning of something that's going to be. Like I already said, I enjoy doing this. I think this is an interesting concept, is an interesting experience, and the more people that can be along for the ride, the best. So if you really like cool fight scenes, if you really like the fantasy, fantasy tropes, fantasy worlds, things like that. If you really like, character study, character designs, and stuff like that. So world, character, action. I mean, what drama, melodrama. What more do you want?
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
So yeah, that's what I would say. And the art keeps improving after each consecutive issue. So there's going to be that growth there. You look back from issue 1 to issue 900, and you're gonna when that day comes, obviously. But,
issue 900, huh?
I don't know what directions it's going to go, but I have no intention of slowing down. So that's another thing. I know, some comics fans are not happy with constant restarts and stuff like that, and I plan to keep this going as long as I can.
And that brings us to our next question. We had AJ asking, how many issues do you have planned? Do you have an idea? What's next? In issue 3 at least, or?
Oh yeah, so I have already planned out 6 issues. This completes the first arc, and then afterwards, I have plenty of other story ideas that I'm kind of playing around with, thinking about like story crafting. But until I get this first set out, I'm not gonna worry too much about. But what's good about this project for me is that I'm building a world from the ground up. So this essentially becomes a sandbox. So I can make any number of stories, and I can do any number of things after this. If I wanted to, do a spinoff, a Western procedural, or something like that, it's possible. But right now, I'm just trying to focus on getting this one arc finished, and then continuing off of that.
And we also have the Sin Killer. Josh, you don't have original art for sale? ? That helped me a lot. Any plans on doing anything with original art?
I almost considered doing that on the first Kickstarter I did, but I decided against it. At this time, I don't have any plans, but it's still early on. You never know what's going to happen in the future.
Hey, that I think that's a good enough answer for anyone who's out there curious. There's always hope for anyone that's looking to get an original piece of art. So Josh, before we wrap things up completely, I always love asking one question in particular, because as much as this is a nice spotlight for you and your book, it's also a nice learning tool for anyone that might be new to the creation process. So for anyone that's out there that's looking just to get started with anything, whether it's a piece of art or writing a script or anything for a comic book, what type of advice would you offer them to kind of help them gain a little bit of success with just getting started?
Sure. So I would say first, so I'll start with some just like mechanical lower level advice, and then work more general. So for writing, there is no agreed upon script format or anything. So I would say, if you're spending all this time asking like, oh, should I go with this software or this software, or like how should I do that? I don't. I think that's not the right question to be asking. Just get anything. Notepad, whatever. I mean, I write all my scripts in Markdown, and I give it to whoever needs to read it, and it can be parsed that way. But yeah, just get your ideas down, and then it's really. I would also say iterate over everything. First ideas are not always going to be the best ideas, and to get to what I did now, it took a lot of changing characters' names, characters' whole MOs, the whole stories has changed several times because you realize certain things weren't working or didn't make sense, this, that, and the third. And so with that, yeah, it's a lot of work. It's a lot of, so there is a trial and error step, and also from the art perspective, there were times where I was just sitting there like, man, this perspective is wrong, and like all this kind of stuff, working on that. So also just be open to, learning on the job, learning new things that's going to work for you. There's definitely YouTube. I'll spend all night just watching YouTube videos on different approaches, listening to other people, how they do things. There's no reason to sit in a bathroom.
It's a nice little cheat code, isn't it? Like, you let them do the hard work, and then you're like, okay, well, I'll just learn the shortcuts from you. Like, let's go. Exactly.
It's 2022. Let's not reinvent the wheel. The resources are out there, and definitely don't let anyone tell you, oh, don't do this. If it's someone's, if you're feeling that self-doubt or whatever, like you just, if you really want to get this out, you can get it out. It just requires the discipline, the time, and the effort, and that's what it is. I did not try to pitch to any kind of publishing company or anything like that, because I decided, I wanted to tell the story whether I was going to get published or not. So I'm not, like, basically, as I said, I'm not going to wait around for someone to give me permission to do this project. So, I have nothing against publishing, or if you want to go a traditional route, that's fine, do it. But for me, I was just like, I want to do this, and I'm going to move all these obstacles out of the way, these people that can say no to me, so I can get this out on my own terms. And that's just how I feel about it.
I love it. I love the mentality where you're going to get this done no matter what, no matter hell or high water, because heaven's still in construction, right?
Still in construction, absolutely.
Let's go. So everyone watching, I hope you are having a fantastic new comic book day. It's new comic book day. Back this campaign. Get yourself a new book. You have no reason not to. And even if you're unable to back it, be sure to share it. Share it on Facebook, Twitter, because you might have a friend who might be interested. And this helps Josh get issue number 3 working as well. Anything that goes towards the comic, that helps the future of it as well, right?
Absolutely. So issue 3 is already getting started. I've already started. The script's already written. Some art's already starting. I'm going to get that process rolling as soon as possible. I think I shot myself in the foot. Another piece of advice for anyone starting is don't wait too long. So issue 1 came out almost a year ago, and so I'm starting over again with issue 2. So momentum is a good thing. Don't let it go to waste. So I learned from that mistake. So now it's like, oh, issue 2 is done. Do issue 3 immediately. If you wait too long, you cool it down. Like, oh no, what's Bad Nature? Never heard of that, because I was like that 10 months ago.
Yeah.
So learn that the hard way. Also, work on that social media presence. That's another thing that, looking back, I wish I had taken more seriously. I deleted all my social media years ago because I was like, oh, I don't like all this stuff. I don't need blah, blah, blah. And then I decided to do comics, and now I'm invisible online. So, I have to start back up again. So that stuff is important. You gotta get your product out in front of some eyes so they can look at it, read it, and support you.
No, absolutely. We have the Sin Killer over on YouTube. Great advice, Josh. I do the same. The more we learn from everyone, the better we become. I believe that's a nice little thing, too. I know for me, for a lot of things I do, I will go the YouTube route because it's a nice tool. You can watch it over and over and over. And sometimes seeing someone just do it is the best tool of all. You could read it 1,000 times, but until you see it in action, it might not click. So I think YouTube is fantastic. Josh, thank you once again for coming on, breaking down Bad Natures issue 1 and 2. And I can't wait to see what happens, from you in the future. I'd love to get you back on for issue 3. And yeah, man, I wish you just great success on this campaign.
Sounds good, and thank you for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. Everyone that's watching, I hope you have a fantastic Wednesday. Most importantly, guys, though, keep it geekly.